Hey everybody, so I'm really doing some research on the Nephilim and the the accuracy around the Nephilim. And I, was doing like a reading talk to text type thing on my Word document here. And this thing really stood out to me. A race of giants implies a hereditary element, and the origin of some names may indicate the genetic pathway involved. The Hebrew word anak may mean necklace, Proverbs 1-9, or possibly a goiter. This could suggest hyperthyroidism, possibly due to an underlying pituitary gland or other endocrine dysfunctions. All right. And then Goliath, the Gittite, is the well-known giant in the Bible. He is described as a champion out of the camp of the Philistines, whose height was 6 cubits and a span, from Samuel and Chronicle. We have drawn Goliath's pedigree. A literal interpretation of the verse suggests that his brother and 3 sons were also of a giant stature. This name of Goliath's 3rd son does not appear in the Bible, so we have named him Exactdactylus, as it was said he had on every hand 6 fingers, on every foot 6 toes. Goliath's family tree is suggestive of hereditary autosomal dominant pituitary genes such as the AIP. Okay, so remember, now, also in this PubMed, it says that, for example, the Nephilim 13-32-33 appear to be present before and after the flood. The Emites, the Ammonites, or the Ankites, and the Rephaim, Deuteronomy 2:10-11, existed after the flood and appear to be separate entities, although the chronicler often uses the phrases like, suggesting they had a similar phenotype. The Anakim seem to be derived from the Nephilim. The Rephaim, although similar to the Nephilim, appear to be distinct from them with every respect to the family lineage. Deuteronomy 2:21 states that Rephaim were largely subdued by the Ammonites, which dwelt in their stead. One of the most prominent Rephaim was Og, king of Bashan, who slept in a bedstead of iron. 9 cubits was the length, and 4 cubits the breadth of it. So he appeared to be one of the last survivors of the Rephaim. A race of giants implies a hereditary element. Okay, so here's the thing about the Nephilim. They appeared before the flood and after the flood, which means that there was definitely a change in the atmosphere. Some of the giants couldn't survive, couldn't adapt to the new environment, and some were trying to adapt, and so they have these underlying pituitary gland issues. The body was trying to adapt. See, this is where the perspective of the holistic allopathic is. If you don't fit, if your body is not adapting to this atmosphere and you have these issues, they'd say there's something wrong with you. Yes, there's something wrong with you, but not because the giants were something wrong with them. It's the fact they couldn't adapt to this environment. So maybe if they were to do J-Juice back then, they wouldn't have those goiters. And then, and so their race back then could have survived. Because we do still see some giants here today. I mean, I'm friends with someone that's 6'9". My husband's best friend is 6'9". He's a giant. Okay? But that's not very, I mean, there are people out there that are very, very tall, but not like giants, like the giants of like Goliath. But when they say that the Hebrew word anak means necklace or possible goiter, well, that race of giant was trying to adapt to an environment that it had trouble adapting to. Because I'm sure they still ate the same things they ate, but the environment changed. When you're still doing the same thing, expecting a different result, and the environment changes, then your body's going to try to adapt. And if you have diagnosable diseases, you have hyperthyroidism, hypothyroidism, you have all these different diseases, cancers, and whatever, then that's the body trying to adapt, and you're not giving it what it needs. So then PubMed is going to diagnose them with these type of diseases. So that's why humans have evolved down to this diminutive stature, because we have learned how to adapt to our environment. And some, there are some people out there that still take on the characteristics of the giants of the past, but they don't live very long because they can't adapt to this environment. So they're fraught with disease. Why are they fraught with disease? Because they're not increasing the oxygen levels in their body. They're probably not taking in the salt or the probiotics. The fact that they're able to live for 30 something years, if they really are a gigantic stature, says that they're able to adapt to a certain point, and then the body starts degrading unless they were to really rise to the level of the environment with their predispositions, with all their issues, and then those issues don't become issues anymore because now they have given their body what it needs, and they can still maintain their genetic line and still adapt to this environment, even at 21% oxygen levels with a lower pressure. See, that's why you have to understand with how medical and holistic publications are, you have to understand their perspective. Okay, so anyone that is different out there, anyone that's different, that isn't like the mainstream, they will diagnose them with a disease, yes, because they're trying to adapt. So when you have people with Down syndrome, with people with autism, people who are a gigantic stature and they have goiters and pituitary issues, anyone that has cancer, disease, and chronic illness, whatever either accepted or the non-accepted social problems and physical problems and issues, it's the body still trying to adapt. So this is why it's important to understand that J-juice, relative to whatever it is your genetic line is, will help you adapt to your environment. So you could be a giant, you could be a Down syndrome person, you could be an autistic person, you could be a person with cancer, disease, chronic illness, aging, degrading, and you still be able to adapt to your environment. Because when you do the J-juice, it's relative to your predispositions, your ability to adapt, your ability to understand what it takes to adapt. Okay? And so, yeah, that's why PubMed has focused on this, because it's a way to diagnose. But I tell you what, these giants, the goiters and the giants of back then, that was their body trying to adapt to the new atmosphere, and they had a hard time after the flood. That makes sense. Any diagnosis is the body trying to adapt, and then you're not giving it what it needs. So freaking interesting. All right, bye.